All right, you got Wacko Bob here again, and I'm doing another commentary that's definitely something that I really got into and really started to research. This has to do with another feud, and this feud has to do more with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This has to do with Austin St. John and Jason David Frank. I really wasn't aware of the things going on with the Power Rangers. I really wasn't aware. When I say that, I mean more or less the issues that seem to have gotten more ongoing between, more specifically, Austin St. John and Jason David Frank behind the scenes. I've heard different stories about this, and I've primarily heard Jason David Frank talk about his challenges and what he's doing, where that goes, challenging Austin St. John. I've heard him spew out a lot of things about Austin St. John. I've seen different things, including on his Facebook page, which is a fan page, where he spewed out things where Austin St. John went, then he took it down. I also heard him say where he has no issues with Austin, then I hear things again. And this has been going on for a period of maybe 4 years, till finally I heard the interview that he actually did where it involved Austin St. John. Now, I want to make some things crystal clear. I'm 40 years old, and yes, I'm the world's oldest Power Ranger fan. I'll even watch the watered-down, revamped Power Rangers that we see on Nick right now. But I look at this, and I gotta say, where did these two go wrong? Where did they go wrong, by any means, for there to be a hatred, primarily on Jason David Frank's part? Everyone knows I host a show on Blog Talk, and there were some colleagues of mine that do an MMA show that had Jason David Frank on. I did call into that show and give Jason David Frank both a good comment and a question. Stuck more with mixed martial arts instead of Power Rangers. Figured he answered enough of that. Appeared to be a nice guy. Now, I am even attempting to get Jason David Frank on my show, Wacko in the Morning. And I'm going to keep sending things out to Jesus Didn't Tap, where you could reach him to see if I could get him for an interview. See if that could happen. Because I really want to jump into this more. But to jump into what I know right now and some of the things that are disturbing to me and things that aren't disturbing to me, really go into the fact that when I first heard the radio show he was on that's played in several different places on YouTube, where he wanted to face Austin, and the stories that came out of his mouth where Austin St. John goes. Now, Jason David Frank appears to be a nice guy. When I've heard this first interview, I'm like, okay, he may be telling some truth here, but at the same time, I think he really may have jumped the gun really on Austin as well too. Now, I don't want to falsely accuse here or anything, because I got a lot of respect for both Jason and Austin. Seeing the interviews that were done, seeing the things going on, I got a lot of respect for both of them. However, when I heard more and more about this, that Austin St. John was a underground fighter and he killed people in the ring, and hearing that come out of his mouth, I almost didn't want to believe it. Because he seemed like a decent enough person. When you'd see him show his martial arts, when you'd see him do his little martial arts video he didn't seem like someone that would really want to say something like this. Until I heard him interviewed and he talked about being young and naive. Now, I mean, and Austin has admitted to a lot of things. Now, Austin really hasn't said anything that bad where Jason David Frank goes. But I've heard mostly Jason going off about Austin St. John. being a fan of him, hearing what he said, saying he killed people in the ring. All I see is him offering him money to challenge him to fight in a mixed martial arts match. Which, who wouldn't want to see these two fight? But I think we're taking it too far now. I know Austin St. John, his is just a stage name. His real name is posted. I have seen it posted up on Wikipedia. What his actual name is. I know all that. Of course, a lot of times his real name was bleeped out when I listened to JDF say his name. But there's no harm in that. Just to make that known, I don't think there's harm in having a stage name as opposed to a personal name, especially if you're going to be a star, because at some point even the star wants to have a private life. But he took things a little too seriously, in my opinion. Where things went 20 years ago, when both him and Austin were much younger. Austin St. John, I know, is a little bit younger than me now. Jason David Frank and I are probably the same age. I think JDF is probably a few months older than me. I'm 40. Sorry, JDF. But I gotta be honest with you. How do I feel about this? Now, I've seen more interviews done where it involves Jason, where Austin goes and saying, "Come on, it's on. Let's have it. Let's have the fight. People want to see it. I'll give you $25,000. Is it more money you want? Blah blah blah. Let's make this thing happen. Let's see if we can promote this. Make more money." This is the type of stuff I'm hearing, not specifically like that. Come on, it's on, and you really hear a lot of dislike on that end of it with him, because it seems like after that radio show and promoting that, it just got worse and worse and worse on Jason's part. Yeah, I like what a lot of people said on YouTube. I like their comments where it goes, and I agree with a lot of it. I think it's very, 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 very petty and very wrong on Jason David Frank's part. I know that they both were supposed to be down here for a con down here. I believe it was a super con that was happening here in Miami back on 4th of July week. I noticed that both Austin and JDF were going to be on this one. Austin showed up, JDF didn't, and I've heard that he canceled because Austin was going to be there. Another one told me that he promised his daughter he would take time off and spend some time at home with her, which I can believe that too. I can believe that you want to have a little bit of balance for your family, especially where your kids go. So you could do that, which I don't see a problem with that. But come on, you're claiming to be a Christian. Why don't you go on record and say, "Look, I didn't cancel because Austin St. John was going to be there. I canceled more on the account of my daughter before I even knew Austin St. John was going to be there." Make that agreement, because you made a handshake agreement. You agreed to return to Miami. I live here in South Florida. I originally wanted to go. I think a lot of people would have wanted to go just to see if there would be a fight break out. I don't know. Too many people thrive on drama. But come on, JDF, come on. I'd like to have you come on my show to see if we can get this out there. Is there a tremendous amount of dislike that you intentionally have on him that's gone on for 20 years? And what's this about? If it's about petty stuff when you guys were kids, because Austin admits to being young and naive. He said that plenty of times. And he said, we're all supposed to be on the same team here. Well, get yourself on the same page. I don't like the fact that you could get as many people from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast together, and I hope one day it'll happen again with Amy Jo Johnson. But can you imagine Amy Jo Johnson, David Yost, Walter Emmanuel Jones Jason David Frank and Austin St. John on the same table for a Morphicon, doing it for an hour. Hell, go for 2 hours. How many times would you see that one together? You'd want to go a lot longer than an hour of having them together. If you could have them together like that, they'll pay their tributes to Twee, who's the one who can't be there, and of course Ernie, the one who played Ernie, he can't be there. Those two are no longer with us. But can you imagine getting the second Rita Repulsa for the American show to come on that one? Get Rita Repulsa from and her character, her face character from Japan down there, along with the Japanese Red Ranger too. Make it something that would be a once-in-a-lifetime event for people to see, so much so that it would get on video. And you can, and you can sound off to Austin St. John about how you feel. You can let Austin St. John sound off to you, because deep down, and I know Austin St. John hasn't said anything about this. He really has said very little, other than the very few things he said. And there are some things that I will say are very sarcastic on his part too, saying we like each other too much to really have a fight, and he would do that and say that. And Austin has put JDF over as being good people at the same time too. He doesn't have a beef with Jason David Frank, but JDF seems to have a beef with him. Going on about this, saying he killed people in the ring, he did all this, he was an underground fighter. I think it would be time to get it all out there. I think when he calls himself young and naive, he was referring to that stuff. I've looked into all this, and I gotta say this. In interviews that were done with other people, I haven't heard Steve Cardenas say anything. I haven't heard Jeremy Borsch say anything. I haven't heard Karen Ashley say anything bad where Austin St. John goes. Neither one of those three have. David Yost and Walter Jones seem to get along well with him. The only one who I've heard say anything that can confirm anything that was said about him in all my research of interviewing the former Mighty Morphin Power Ranger cast was Amy Jo Johnson. And Amy Jo said that Austin St. John had a lot of stories. He had a lot of stories. So I will confirm that. I don't know how true it is. I don't know how true any of it is. I haven't heard anyone else talk about that where he goes. I've heard them say nice things about Austin. I've heard them say nice things about Jason. People want to see it. They want to see Jason and Tommy together. Tommy Oliver, Jason Lee Scott. They want to see the Power Rangers together. Get them all together, and I'm going to keep saying it. Bring back Lord Zed. Bring back Rita Repulsa. Have both Ritas there like you have both Red Rangers there. If you could, I'd say bring both Green Rangers there. I don't know how possible that is. Bring the Power Ranger characters from Japan over there. Put together the ultimate Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Morphicon together. Have them in a place for at least a 2-hour show, and have them all together. But the problem is, it's almost as if the fans got to make a choice, because if Austin's going to be there, then JDF won't be there. But if JDF is going to be there, Austin can't be there. And I think you're ripping the fans off about something that would be the greatest thing. Get it all out there. You all can make money off of it just doing that. So, have the ultimate story. Have Mrs. Apple be there. She's still around. Have them all there from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Bulk and Skull. I mean, just have the ultimate Mighty Morphin Power Rangers convention with the cast. Get it over with. Get over it. Now, on the negative side of things, I did see one video, and I did do a lot of research on it, that the one who played Kira Ford, Emma, I forget her last name right now. The one who played Kira Ford, the Yellow Ranger in Dino Thunder, did say that Jason David Frank was hard to work with. So there's something of a red flag there that was said. Now, I will say this. I have not seen her interviewed. I have not seen her interviewed at all, so I will not confirm any of that. I know that these were interviews and things that were done more in writing, that was put on different sites, and I normally don't like to say anything without it coming out from that person. So I'm going to say I think I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. So let's go over this one more time. Point against who started this whole matter that really got the fans' attention. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, JDF, it was you. Who's been doing the most talk about him? Trying to destroy his credibility, doing anything you can, even when it comes down to this, to try and destroy him in any correct way. Unfortunately, that's you, Jason David Frank. Those are two red flags. How many times have you talked about him in interviews? Granted, a lot of them bring that up with you more than you bring it up with them since that radio show. But unfortunately, it's on you. You keep saying, let's get it on. Here's some of the other things on the negative. Are the rumors true that you didn't go there because of him? Or did you really promise your young daughter that you guys would have some time together and spend some time at home and relax and rest and have fun together? I believe that. I want to believe. I want to believe that in a big way. But who's doing most of the talking? You are. Now, on the plus side, after all these red flags, because I can't confirm that whole matter in Miami back in July. I can't confirm that. But now let's look at the positive side. Who really has said anything that confirms any of your stories about Austin St. John and his wild stories? Amy Jo Johnson has in an interview. She did do a radio interview that was a part of No Pink Spandex that did talk about that. So you got some confirmation there. But is what Emma from Dino Thunder, is what she said, who played Kira Ford, is what she's saying true, that you were very hard to work with at that time? Because I want to put more things together here. There is a reality here. Austin St. John, and I'm going to go over his red flags too. Austin St. John did leave the Power Ranger show without being written off. You had technically 6 stories, I believe. You had the one story where you first had to fake them for a Halloween episode. Then you had the 3-part episode, which really is technically one episode, where you introduce some new faces. Then you had two more episodes that still featured the new lineup, what was going to be part of the new lineup after Walter Emanuel Jones, Austin St. John, and Twee Trang left. So you had to fake them. So that was another 2 episodes. That's 6 right there, and you had the 2-part episode. You're looking at altogether there being 8 episodes where they had to be faked. So you're really looking at, when you count it up, really it's only probably about 4 episodes. Some of them were just put into 2 or 3 parts. So let's look at that. But you did come back, and you and Austin St. John and Jason David Frank did work together when Austin came back for Power Rangers Zeo. They did 17 episodes. It was supposed to be 20, but he came back. He stayed for the movie that brought in the Power Rangers Turbo. Even Amy Jo Johnson was back for that one. And you guys both came back together to do Forever Red. Now, with this ongoing feud, they did offer something to Austin St. John, but Austin St. John refused, saying it was a low, ridiculous amount, just barely enough to get back home. I think I kind of agree there. I think Nick and Saban can be very, very cheap at times. Look what they did to Sam and Cat. Now, here's my thing. You saw all that happen. Why couldn't they meet at a convention? This leads to me thinking that maybe Jason David Frank could be telling the truth. I don't know. He may not be because, he said some of this stuff built up, you just don't forget about it. But again, red flags against Jason. Austin St. John has not said anything about you. Should Austin St. John be talking about this again? Absolutely. I think at some point, Austin St. John needs to clear the air. That's a little red flag. The bigger red flag about what he talked about is that, I think he was coming off the wrong premise saying, when he was asked about it at one convention, saying, let's face it, we like each other too much. That's red flag number 2. So I don't think it could happen. I don't think it could come off as a great fight because we like each other too much. That's red flag number 2. So you got 2 things there as far as the red flags against Austin goes. Plus, Austin was the one who left the show a little more prematurely and a little more unprofessionally, but then to have the success you were having with Power Rangers, and you were even getting to points, especially in Part 2, where you were going to have to do a lot more work, and I think I think all of the cast should have gotten more money for that. So there's a lot of things to look at there. We may not even know the whole story, and I think at some point the whole story has to be said. I know that pretty much Amy Jo Johnson talked about it, being that they made $600 per episode, which stinks. At the time, they were not union. So, where do you go with this? I'm going to say, and I believe it to this point here, that between the fact that, again, I'm going to put out one more red flag that Amy Jo Johnson did confirm it, that he did tell a lot of stories. But if I could say it like this, I'll say it like this. Jason David Frank out of nowhere surprised me with his challenge to Austin St. John. The issue of that just kept going on and on. These guys worked together for a good year to a year and a half together, and they worked for at least a few more months when it came to Power Rangers Zeo. So, does any of this make sense that Jason David Frank would make this challenge because he's now doing mixed martial arts? It may, but is it done to make money? Or is there really a real hatred there? Because I know that Austin hasn't said anything where JDF goes. But there comes a point, too, to where it has to be stopped. You have to get past it. You have to get over it. Move on and call it a day. And that's what needs to go on. So, move on. Enough of this argument. You've said it plenty of times. You said in your radio show, look, I don't want to fight you. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't have a problem with you. Do you have a problem with me? And in the end, if JDF says no, fine, shake hands. Shake hands, call it a day. Put your arm around him. Put your arm around him, and say, hey, welcome to the Power Rangers Morphicon with two of the most popular Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that there were. Austin St. John, Jason David Frank. Get it over with. Get past it. Otherwise, really, the immature person in this whole thing, on the surface, is JDF. Even though he has a lot to say about this one, I'm a big fan of Jason David Franks. I think he does a lot for the people. But I also see Austin St. John, and I see him really just showing his love for the people himself too. So is JDF wrong for talking about things the way it is? As an adult, you're inclined to believe that he is in the wrong. And I'm inclined to believe that. But who do I side? I really don't side with anyone here. I really don't have a side. But if you ask me to take a side on this one, and who I believe at this point, and I hate to say this, but I would almost be on Austin St. John's side, because Austin St. John, he admits to his problems. He puts a lot of things behind him. He's an ENT. He's done a lot of work. He's lived a big life. He's a martial artist. JDF is a martial artist. JDF, has had the media attention for so long. I think it's time for them to get over it. And please, you're in 2013 now. Let's not wait till there's a 30th anniversary for us to get the cast that's still around today back together for the ultimate Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Morphicon. Let's get it together. You won't have someone trying to record this thing from their cell phone. You could get an actual camera crew. You could have it produced. I think it would be great. I think it would be great to have Austin St. John, Jason David Frank, David Yost, Walter Jones, Amy Jo Johnson. I believe I did say her name too. No, I didn't. Amy Jo Johnson. Have pictures up of Ernie and Twee because they're no longer with us. At the same time, get Steve Cardenas, get Jeremy Borsch, get Karen Ashley all together, and have them together. Bring back Miss Appleby. Bring back the principal. I hope the principal is still around. I forget the principal's name. Bring bring Bulk and Skull, and let's just do it. Even bring the kid that had a recurring role on there, that was supposed to become the love interest of Trini. Bring it all together. Lord Zed, Rita, which would be the second Rita, obviously. And even if you want to, it would be a bit of overkill. Get the Red and Green Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in Japan. I don't want to say the name. I'll mess it up. Bring those guys. Bring the Rita from there. Have the translator there with that one. I think it would be great. I think it would be great to have that all happen for this one shot, and you don't do it for an hour. You have a 2-hour program with this, and have the fans answer the questions. Even get questions that would be brought up from people on the net. This way, they all could talk and be together. I think the fans, new fans and old fans, that are really, especially the newer fans, the young kids that are really discovering this when it went on in '93, would enjoy this. Let's have it happen one time, please. Let it happen. And JDF, Austin St. John, please settle this matter. If Austin St. John's going to show up, you need to show up. And you guys need to show up and talk to each other the day before the show and get your grievances out about each other and kiss and make up, for Pete's sakes, because it's ridiculous to have this arguing, this worthless arguing going on. So please, I love the people who did the YouTubes on this one. A lot of people did them. They're 10 times better than I am at doing the YouTube commentary, 10 times better at putting this together. I literally just did this thing at last minute. So, I mean, if I got something to say, anyone has something to say. So let's put it together. Let's put it together. Let's get it right. Let's get it all out there. You admit to your shortcomings, Austin. And JDF, you admit to your shortcomings. Let's get it done, please. Let's get it done. Let's get it right. Thanks for listening. That's my commentary.